Wired. Unplugged.
Hello, everybody. I did an Olaf for the last 4
I'm
episodes.
Aaron.
Yeah, hey Aaron, how you doing? It's good
I'm not
to have you
Aaron.
back.
I'm not Aaron. I thought we'd get it out of the way first up, because the last time we were here, we signed off going, well, you're never coming back.
We made a
Aaron will
big
be
hoo-ha
here.
about it, didn't we?
We made a big thing,
Yeah.
and here I am in PogChamp form. So,
Well, listen, good to have you back anyway, Gary.
Hello
You're
again.
a
How are
mainstay
you?
at this point. I'm very well, thanks, actually. If anyone who's worried about Aaron's safety, considering the last time we spoke about him, he was being tailed by a giant elephant, he is
was.
fine. And he is still 3 dimensions. He's just probably... He's just likely exhausted from his travels. So, yeah, speaking of exhausted from travels, we're joined again by Gary, who is I was going to say a Polaris survivor, which sounds really severe.
It sounds really bad. You know, though, it's not too far off. I do actually have quite an entertaining story about surviving Polaris, but we'll get to that when we talk about the things.
Yeah, all right, okie dokie. Yeah, cool. Well, I'll tell you what then, we're going to get straight into it because there's been quite a lot of news in the world this week, and there's some news that's so hot off the press that I don't even know what it is, and Gary's going to surprise me with it. Very romantic. But first, let's look inwards at the Wired propaganda.
Wired propaganda.
Anybody that doesn't really know what this is, they've just sort of stumbled on this. This is a podcast by Wired Productions, and there's a lot of things that happen in the outside world that we talk about, but there's also a lot of things that happened at Wired headquarters. Being an indie publisher, there's always something going on, and that is no small feat. There's if you watch every episode, there's at least a couple of things going on. So it's got its own dedicated segment, and that was a really nice jingle that you just heard. I don't know why I'm acting like this is the first episode, but just as a refresher.
Why are you explaining the podcast to our loyal viewers?
So to be honest,
listeners?
actually, I do actually, whilst I'm here, I'll have a little quick soapbox moment. It's because we've got some nice new thumbnails and whatnot on YouTube. So there's quite a lot of people that listen to us in audio form because we're available on all major podcast platforms, by the way. But the YouTube SEO clickbait machine is in full form. So we've had quite a lot of people who are listening to each episode for the first time because we talk about very topical stuff. So I thought I'll give you that every now and then, but I don't want to give it you every episode because the long-term fans are going to get sick of it.
Yeah.
So
maybe we could bake it into a prelude or something like that. That starts at the beginning. You know, like how when you watch Netflix and after a while you skip the intro to the show.
Previously on.
Yeah, unless it's BoJack Horseman, in which case you watch the intro every time because that intro is absolute fire.
Hell yeah.
But you skip the first 2 minutes and then you're like, okay, I'm good. Maybe we could do something like that. But anyway, yes, if this is indeed your first time listening, welcome to Wired Unplugged, and strap in. You're in for one heck of a ride. We also, Jake, have a new. I need you to make a note of timestamps while you're recording because we've been commissioned.
Yeah.
To not swear this episode.
All right. Have I already failed that?
For science.
Oh, okay. All
okay,
right.
We're not allowed to swear this episode. And if we do, we need to make a note of when so we can tell Curtis and he can edit out.
Editor.
Yeah, he needs to put duck noises
duck noise.
or beeps or something like that anytime we swear. So we're not allowed to swear.
Okay. This one's for the kids.
Heck. Okay, so jumping in, I guess we should get some retroactive propaganda. You kind of alluded to it at the start there.
Yeah.
We were in Polaris. We were over in Hamburg last week. Myself, Tegan, our newest community manager, member Steph, and of course Ant, our wonderful office manager, all flew out to Hamburg with Leo. And spent the best part of a week getting to know the fine citizens of Hamburg and showing our games to them in a brand new event called Polaris, the very first time it had been ran. I'd never been to Hamburg before. Have you ever been to Hamburg, Jake?
I've never been to Hamburg, actually. I've never been to Hamburg. No, I know you think I travel everywhere all the time. And
you do?
I do, yeah. I've literally got home today. I've been in Kent for the last 4 days. But not the home of the hamburger, as you would say.
No, not the Hamburg
Just
home.
as a slight personal tangent, did you have a hamburger? Although I've already given you a couple of episodes, I gave you the hamburger history story about how it was, Mongol hordes who invented it, and then Turkey
flattened it. Yeah,
exactly. And then they cut. Anyway, did you have a hamburger while you were there?
I did. We had a couple. We had a couple.
Yeah.
The first night we had Italian. and then which was quite funny actually. So Leo, you know what Leo's like?
A real Italian.
Yeah, he's a bona fide Italian.
Yeah.
Not like a Chris Pratt Italian.
Yeah, not one of them. Yeah.
You know, he literally, Leo walks in the office every day and goes, "It's me, Leo," like that. And
yeah. Leo, I'm so sorry
I'm
that
so
happened.
fired.
Yeah,
I'm so fired.
That's so funny.
Anyway, so
yeah.
we'd done the first day of the event, which is always scary. You know, you're usually a little bit more jet lagged. You're usually just falling into the rhythm of doing an event. You know what I mean? The first day is always a little bit of a culture shock, no matter how many times you've done them. And we got out from the event quite late. It was like 10:30. And we're walking around trying to find somewhere interesting to eat. And Leo comes to literally a fork in the road. And there's an Italian on one side of the street and an Italian on the other side of the street, like two opposing
Sounds
Italian
like the start
restaurants.
Of a riddle.
It honestly was. And we're kind of looking at him like, which one's he going to go for? And it was, I think he chose the right one eventually because they were very attentive. And Hamburg as a whole, anyone listening that is from Germany or Hamburg, but lovely place, very interesting. But yeah, they treat us right. They really looked after us. Really pleasant people out there. So thank you all for being so hospitable while we were out there. But we spent the best part of 3 days showing games, checking out some pretty awesome cosplay. Nice. Checking out some other indie companies out there. There was a wonderful made in Hamburg and kind of local indie area directly opposite us. Which there were some really cool people in there. Daedalic were there. Obviously, they're a Hamburg-based company. So they were in there too. And two super standouts from that, obviously apart from our own, which people really enjoyed. Because it was the first public showing of Bulwark there.
Yeah.
So we had Thomas there, which is very thankful because Bulwark is an incredibly strange beast, but it's going to be absolutely amazing. And people really, really loved getting their hands in there. Turns out German people really like building things. I don't know if this is a stereotype. Literally, number of people that walked past went, I play, I build, and it was like, go ahead. And
German
like,
engineering,
explain
maybe.
The game. They're like, no, don't explain. They just picked it up. They just wanted to build, and it was like, okay, cool, good on you. But it was the first public show of Bulwark. We had Gory there, we had Tiny Troopers Global Ops there, we had Tin Hearts there, and we had The Last Worker there. And it was a good food, beautiful city, really friendly, accommodating people. Daedalic, obviously, or local folks had a good handful of their things on. There was a lovely indie game there called Zombie Cure Lab, actually, which I spent a little bit of time with. They were directly opposite our booth there, which was really cool. Where it was basically set on, you know how usually zombie games, like the world is ending and you're just running around trying to survive and kill them. This was like the opposite, where like the apocalypse has already happened and you're working on cures and trying to like reverse engineer the zombification. That's really cool little concept.
That's a clever idea, isn't it?
Really interesting game. And another one called Fall of Porcupine, I think it was. And they had a giant guy and a big pigeon mascot that was running around. And they had a really cool booth, actually, where the whole thing was like a hospital bed, where you lay on a hospital bed and the TV was dangling above you.
Oh, really?
And you were like acting as a patient in their booth while playing the game above. So really interesting seeing the cool ways people handle booths at events. But no, it was a really, really cool place. And a very short flight as well. It actually just felt like a very long train ride. I'm going to be honest, it was like an hour. Like you got on the plane, you blinked and you were off, which was great because I'm always a bit nervous flying.
I know this is totally unrelatable for anyone listening, but it took me 5 hours to get home from Kent today to North Wales because it's because of these railway strikes at the moment. So I could have gone to Polaris, had a hamburger, played For the Porcupine, and come home quicker than that.
I missed MCV because of that yesterday. We're going to be going to MCV IRL last night, which congratulations, everyone. I've seen some wonderful friends of the company on the 30 under 30 list on MCV IRL last night in the party.
For anyone who's unaware or from not the UK, MCV is like the UK game industry sort of celebration. I guess the IRL event tends to be an in real life meetup, but they kind of paired it this year with the the announcement of their 30 people who have done really well, who are also under the age of 30, in case you don't know what 30 under 30 is. There you go. I'm very patronising. I find myself a lot like back this commentary.
And I think that's why we work well together, because I just assume that everyone knows everything and I just go for it, whereas you're kind of like you're the citation needed on the verbal Wikipedia of this podcast.
That's a really nice thing to say about me. Thank you very much. I might put that in my Twitter bio.
You do it. Citation needed.
Yeah.
Polaris came. It went. We got back on Monday. Had a little day to recover, and then dove right in because today, not only did we announce, and this is where the heavy propaganda is coming in, everyone. So strap in. Yeah, you're in for quite a ride. Not only did we announce a very big patch for free for Arcade Paradise for all platforms, which fixes a lot of really, really nasty bugs and a couple of just quality of life improvements.
Yeah.
We also announced that there was some DLC for the game, which dropped about 2.5 hours ago. So those of you listening on Friday, yeah, you already know this is old news. But as of today, it just dropped. It is 3 brand new cabinets to include in your arcade/laundromat. One of them based on a kind of,
Go on.
God, how to explain it? There's a story behind it, but it's basically a game that lead designer Gordon put together when he was a young'un that he kind of revitalized and put up. And it's like a button mash. You've got to mash the buttons to move your character up a certain amount of the screen, but let go to let it go down and up while you're avoiding things. Kind of like Flappy Bird, but way cooler. Yeah, kind of like Flappy Bird, but way cooler and way more punishing on the hands.
Yeah.
And then there's a little homage to Point Blank, old PS1
masterpiece.
Yeah, but like literally, and that one's multiplayer as well. So if you've got a local friend, you can blast through together. And then an updated Eurotrance version of the DDR machines, which are always popular. So those are available individually now on all platforms or all together in a bundle with a discount. So if you're looking for a reason to dive back into Arcade Paradise, now is as good as any. But that's not all, because we also announced a roadmap off the back of this. Not only was this the first DLC announcement for the game, it was the announcement of the fact that for the next 4 months, there is more coming. And we're not going to tell you what they are right now because it gives our community team something to tease you all with. But every month for the next 4 months, there's going to be some new additions in some forms that may surprise you to Arcade Paradise. So those of you that have been making the most of your time in Kingwash Arcade, big smiles on your faces. There's a lot more coming, and we hope that you're as psyched as we are about that. Pretty dope, right?
It's pretty dope. And you know what as well, it's quite meta, isn't it? Because the whole thing about Arcade Paradise is earning more money to expand the arcade, isn't it? So
and we earned some money from opening the arcade, and now we're putting it back in.
Exactly, that's the game within the game. You're playing it on a whole other level. Crazy.
If you die in the arcade, you die in real life.
4D chess. Nice. Very, very cool. I like that the 2 of the games were multiplayer too. That was nice.
That's the dope part of it as well. Like local co-op is always something that I smile when I see, just for that very reason.
Wicked. Cool.
But not finished with arcade yet, I'm afraid. We got more. So we also announced, those of you that have been paying a subtle bit of attention to our socials and our kind of propaganda over the past few months will have noticed a little bit of a heavy lean towards vinyl and music and soundtracks. Obviously, the Black Razor Records opening with the Arcade Paradise title track as its lead release as an EP. Obviously, partnering up with Black Screen Records, who are at Polaris. They actually had a couple of our vinyl there on the sale, and we got to go around and check out their stand and chat with them and have a good old time there. We also announced the Arcade Paradise vinyl, or LP, if you want to be a cool person that speaks in vinyl lingo, which is out now. You can order that. You can go see it. It's beautiful. The key art is incredible. I did actually have one on me, but Sam was in here earlier doing the live stream reveal of the DLC, and I think he took it outdoors with him. And I'm very lazy, and my legs are still tired from Germany, so I'm not going to go and get it. But imagine the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. And Curtis can actually put it in here right now. Curtis can put like a little screenshot of like the front cover and whatnot. Curtis, good job. We haven't swore yet, have we? I've just remembered that.
Nope.
Okay, good job. Well done, everyone.
Thank you.
Heck. But it's absolutely stunning.
It's really nice, and it's got that like cool, consistent like graffiti style. Like it's not graffiti, but it's like mural style sleeve, and it looks brilliant
Yeah.
because it's a double LP, so it's got that nice aspect ratio, so it looks like, it's sweet.
And the inlay fold is just one giant continuous RP, so like it really is beautiful.
If you're listening to this instead of watching it and you can't understand the joys of Curtis, you can have a look at the Arcade Paradise official Twitter, which by the way has got a sick @ It
does.
We're lucky that I can't swear this episode because I haven't even gone into what's happened on Twitter this week. But let me tell you that, you can find Arcade Paradise's Twitter at King Wash Arcade, and there's some really nice, and kudos to whoever took the pictures of the vinyls, because they've got some pure little Instagram angles, you know.
Yeah, that's Devon. That's Devon.
Yeah.
He's got a whole like photography box set up at home for him to like put things in and have the lighting controller.
It's
like,
proper good. It's proper good.
He's way better. I just walk around when I was doing community stuff. I would just walk around with my phone and be like, yep, sure, that will go on Instagram. And there's a difference, a level of difference.
Devon looks like he studied media. Do you know?
Yeah, Devon looks like he knows what he's doing. Not like us. Just making it up as we go along.
Yeah, but that's it. So if Curtis's visual aid it doesn't appear to you because you're listening to the audio version, just remember you can find us on Twitter at Wired Unplugged, and you can also find Arcade and all of the Wired games. Normally they're just kind of the eponymous titles, but you can find out. Yeah. Oh, thanks very much. But you can find. Just go on Twitter. We're all verified. We don't even have to pay $8 a month for it.
Oh, are we going to touch on that today?
Later.
Okay.
We'll do it later.
But yeah, vinyl is now out. Vinyl is available for you to order. Vinyl is sat in the office. Vinyl exists, and it is one more to our growing collection of the celebration of the music behind our games.
Right.
And if you are to order from the Wired store, this is the last little piece of propaganda here. Actually, I guess there's one more. Yeah. Then you will currently get 10% off your order and free shipping to anywhere on orders over $150, I think it is.
Yeah.
Because we decided, you know what, it's November, and people are doing that weird thing of I should start saving money for Christmas presents, but I also kind of want to buy stuff. So, you know what, entirety of November, everything on our store, 10% discount. Go crazy. There is a code that you need to use. I forget what it is now. I think it might be like Big Mr. Z or something like that. I forget, but we'll put links and the discount codes in the description of the video and the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
So get on that.
Yeah.
And finally, speaking of Mr. Z, the titular Mr. Zulu, our RMD, him and Jay are also globetrotting today. Leo got back from Germany with us all on Monday, and Bar yesterday was on his way out to France, I believe, for Game Connection. He's out there with Jay. They're out scoping up, looking up games, making meetings with people, doing the big business side of things. So devs, if you are out there and you are planning on taking a trip over to Game Connection event, go look for our logo, go look for our wire, go speak to Leo and Jay, and then you know what, you might be the best conversation you ever have.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? Because
it is.
When I interviewed some developers on the show previously, so many of them have stories about speaking to Wired at events like this and stuff. So, there's a real value to it, and it's just nice to see it in real time now, not just being spoken about, but, so yeah, cool.
So, okay, that's it for propaganda. Can I, potentially break an NDA? I feel like we need to have Gary almost breaks an NDA every episode.
Yeah, that needs to have a jingle as well.
It really does. Gary's NDA break.
Yeah.
Because it's like a break for the moment. But
very good. Like an ad break. Yeah, good.
But, So we're not going to say what, but we signed a new game yesterday. So
that's exciting. Yeah, right.
That's an actual. That's an actual thing.
I think you're safe.
Yeah, I think I'm safe. I didn't give away enough there.
I think you're safe. And then and if there's any problems, Aaron has to deal with the fallback.
Aaron will have to deal with it. That's okay.
Exactly. Well,
Aaron just literally digging through the bull. Oh no, sir!
No. All right, okay, I've done it. I've timed it. I've timed it.
We did so good.
Yeah,
we did so good.
Yeah.
But Aaron literally having to dig through this pile of NDA rage that I've left him over the past month. Just like, oh my god, what are you doing?
He has to deal with all of the formal complaints that we definitely don't really get. So I want to let you know that you lasted 19 minutes without swearing. So a big congratulations to you.
I'm close.
And as a treat, we'll talk about the world at large. Ready?
Let's go for it.
News we stole from Google.
I love that one. All right, then. So, I mean, look, here's the thing. Like anticipating a gift or a punch in the face, depending on how good or bad this news is, you've told me before this podcast that you have some news that you don't want to tell me until it's live on air. And it's not an intervention for people listening, all right? It's just some big news in the gaming world that I don't yet know, because like I told you before,
It came out today. It came out this
tracking.
afternoon.
Well, go on then. What is it then?
Do you want to lead with this? Do you want to have your heart broken live?
Yeah, hang on a
on
second.
the stream right now.
All right. Breaking news. All right. Okay. Sorry. I have to do it once.
Okay.
All right.
So you may have noticed, or you may have remembered, this was maybe a week or two ago. And I feel I've never had this conversation with you, but I think that we might be somewhat aligned because of our current discussions on Silent Hill and Resident Evil. That a series known as Parasite Eve might also mean something to you. You may be familiar.
Absolutely.
With this.
Yeah.
So a little while ago, say a week or two ago, Square had been found in the way that, you know, when people register things and whatnot, people dig into it. They registered something called symbiogenesis, trademarks for it.
Yeah.
Which was a core theme of the plot of Parasite Eve. So everyone's like, oh my God, is Parasite Eve coming back? Are we getting a new Parasite Eve? Everyone got super excited.
Interesting.
Well, today we found out exactly what symbiogenesis was. Square Enix has announced Symbiogenesis
What is it?
is a playable NFT collectible art experience.
Don't swear. Don't swear. Don't swear.
I'm sorry, I chose the wrong episode.
Oh, no. Well,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
For
Yeah. I don't know. Do you want to hear the pitch?
Go
Do you
on.
want to hear the pitch? Symbiogenesis is
Yeah.
described by the company as its first. That's a really ominous thing to open with, isn't it? First.
Yeah. Yeah.
First digital collectible art project designed from the ground up for Web3 fans. According to Square Enix, Symbiogenesis is set in a self-contained world where a wide cast of characters, symbiosis, all of which can be collected as digital art. It promises to offer an interactive story and a dedicated community.
Well,
The art collected by players can be used as a character in a story that takes place in an alternate world where they can untangle a mystery by completing missions that revolve around the questions of monopolization and distribution of resources. It can also be used as a social media profile picture.
yeah. Right.
No, look. I'm not gonna. You know what? You know our thing, right? Don't yuck anyone else's yum. You know, like some people like stuff. It's whatever. But I don't. I feel like you kind of. And I love Square. Right? Square Enix makes some of my favorite.
Yeah,
IPs.
shouts
I
out
am
Square.
a massive fanboy. But I think when you're like, hey yo, what are the bullet points for this announcement? Oh, you could use this as a profile picture. Like you're kind of scraping the barrel a little bit there. That's like.
I think when you were reading it out, I thought they were just describing a video game. They were like, you play as a character that you can customize. Okay.
Yeah,
and it takes part in a world that's unique or whatever. Yeah, okay, you're describing a video game, you know. And it's aren't all video. Listen to this: aren't all video games digital art showcases? If you go through the Kingwash Arcade and look at the games, is that a showcase of digital art? In a way, it is. Yeah, not to be too much of a chin stroker about this whole thing.
Yeah,
but what's the difference between that and that? Well, there's one crucial thing.
Literally nothing.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a bit odd.
I got excited, man. Like it stuck out to me. One, because obviously I think you and Aaron may have covered it, but a while ago there was all of those reports about Square getting involved in the blockchain, right? And everyone immediately, especially me and yourself as well, you know, the long lot of hours put into Final Fantasy 14 and all that. You kind of look at the big IPs and you're like, oh my God, if they turn 14 into like a blockchain-based thing, or there's, you know, if Nier becomes NFT Automata or something like that, like all of the ways that this could possibly go, it looks like this is where they were going with that, which is, as they say, a completely new franchise, a completely new thing, which, you know what, that's probably the way to go about it. Like, don't... try and do it.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And I guess, well, one thing, I mean, I'm not going to make it negative, but I am going to just give you a taste of the reality here in the sort of, on the flip side of this. For those that don't remember the context, I can do this fairly quickly, I think. Square Enix, to sort of help perpetuate their plans for NFT-driven games, sold off a lot of their studios to another company to fund their monkey JPEG addiction or whatever. Sorry, that was unnecessary. But they did sell off companies to Embracer Group, who like to buy everything, to start this process. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of news here that actually they bought Square Enix in Montreal, who only last month were rebranded from Square Enix Montreal to Onomar, and have actually been gutted to this week. They're closing the studio down. 200 people will lose their job because of this, and so that's a sort of classic case of a company being bought, the prime cuts are being picked away, and then it's being struck down. So I guess I guess both of them go hand in hand. So maybe from
like there's the cause and effect right there, right? Like yeah.
Wow.
Unfortunately, as good as the industry is in a lot of ways, it's also very, very cutthroat in a lot of ways. And that kind of thing is very common and doesn't get any less traumatic, let's say, for the people involved when you find yourself being bought and shipped around and pushed all over and then just shuttered because some numbers need to be made up on a spreadsheet somewhere, which sucks when there's real people at the end of that. So, but big hope for everyone that was part of that Montreal group that you all are falling into bigger, better things, and that some studios out there are picking up the talent from these places.
Yeah,
and
well, if you want
giving them a good home,
that's right. And to kind of end that bit on a positive note, there's already been an outreach, from like some of the Montreal's home to a lot of big studios. Yeah, Ubisoft. In Behavior, who do Dead by Daylight, and a lot of them have already done tweets saying, for the sort of. I don't know if there's a more like a less extreme word than like a sort of refugee, but
but it's so it's quite accurate.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've got an interesting story for you here about.
Okay, hit me.
All right. Have you ever been to IKEA?
Like twice, I think, but I've only ever gone to pick up things through like a click and collect thing. I've never had the IKEA experience.
All right. Well, I can tell you some things that aren't part of the IKEA experience. Crafting weapons, building fortifications to survive the night, exploring underground laboratories, and building towers to the sky to find a way out of its infinite grasp.
I don't know. That all sounds pretty accurate to IKEA. I've heard it goes on forever.
Well, actually, funny that you should mention that, because this news story I thought was quite interesting, because IKEA have had a bit of a moment on the internet this week. IKEA have asked a horror game developer to change its self, so people stop comparing it to IKEA. So let me tell you this: there's a Kickstarter campaign that's in the kind of final stretches. It's got 18 hours left as time of recording. So by the time this podcast goes live, it will literally be that this podcast goes live about an hour after this game gets man. So it's
is it funded yet?
It is. It's
okay. I was going to say
100% funded.
Oh man, I was going to hope that it kind of wasn't. Not because I don't want them to make it, because then we could have done like a one person takes each. Like it will or it won't get funded, and then
we could have done a little.
Yeah.
So there's a
good job on getting funded. Good job.
Yeah, exactly. It's a solo developer, and he's made a video game called The Store Is Closed, or he's making one anyway. And you're trapped in an infinite furniture store trying to survive against a mutant staff who only attack at night. So you have to sort of craft. You can play it multiplayer. You have to sort of craft, explore with your friends, and you get deeper and deeper into the store, and you'll find its horrors. However, IKEA have kind of sent a sort of trademark infringement statement to him, and it's because a lot of the press have kind of drew comparisons. IKEA-inspired games. Now, so I thought you'd like this because it's a bit interesting, isn't it? Now, there's no association with IKEA, really. I mean, it looks closer to the Ukrainian flag.
How close is this in comparison? Like, is it all blue and yellow branding?
It is blue and yellow. It is blue.
This is all I know about IKEA.
It's Swedish meat, which is 79% flesh. In a video game, not in IKEA. Okay. In case IKEA want to send some more, cease and desists out. We're innocent, IKEA.
I hope IKEA come for us. I reckon I could take IKEA.
well,
I reckon.
I've been reading what they've been saying. It's really, really funny. Apparently, they're saying that the game uses a blue and yellow sign with a Scandinavian name on the store, which I don't think necessarily is owned by IKEA.
Can you trademark Scandinavian sounding names? There's a whole country in a lot of trouble right now if that's the case.
They said that there's also a grey path on the floor. Which is, akin to IKEA. And basically they've been given 10 days to completely, but there's currently no branding at all in game or anything like that. And this,
I guess it's a close enough analogy. Well, what you're reading, does your news article mention Tarkov at all? Because this is all I'm thinking of immediately. So I play quite a bit of Escape from Tarkov. Obviously, those that know what that game is, you know what it is, and you'll know exactly where I'm going with this. But those that don't, it's a survival first-person shooter where you jump in, very hardcore permadeath type thing. Gear gets lost, etc., etc., etc. But one of the maps in that game literally has a giant furniture area called IKEA. Which is a giant blue and yellow grey path floor furniture company.
Well, thank God that's not a Scandinavian word.
But that is so on the nose. Like, that is obviously referencing IKEA in every way, shape, and form. But that one's okay for whatever reason. This one is not. I don't know. Maybe because I don't know about Tarkov yet. Maybe as soon as they find out, they'll also go, "Oi, that's our name. Get rid." But
I thought you'd like it.
What a weird thing.
Well, I've kind of got. I want to end up with a statement from IKEA actually, which kind of implies that the story's over. So we'll see.
Okay, is that a happy ending?
Depends if you're IKEA or not, I suppose. Right. Here the story is. Well, this is a statement from IKEA. While we think it's flattering that others are inspired by the IKEA brand, we must be diligent to ensure that the IKEA trademarks are not misapplied. And they said that they reached out to the creator of the video and asked them to make the changes to those elements to ensure that this is no longer the case. They expressed that they understand our request and agreed to make those changes. This should all be well in time for the expected 2024 launch of the game.
Yep, you know what? That's good, because when it comes down to it, like, I don't think anyone, like, this has probably worked out as well as it could for the dev. Like let's be honest. Like, he's not going to get in any legal trouble. IKEA has probably done more marketing for him right now by kicking off about this than anyone else ever could. Not that, you know what they say, there's no such thing as bad news. And when it comes down to it, like, something as simple as the color and the logos of the location that it's in are probably not core to the game or its mechanic or its story or whatever. So, you know what? That I'd call that a win. I'd call that an everyone's happy win. I'd take that one.
Yeah, that's good. I think he got away scot-free. Okay, cool. So I wanted to say that. The only other things I saw in the news this week both involved kind of Call of Duty, to be honest, but I thought it might be good for SEO. So would you like me to tell you what I've got?
Yeah, all right, let's have our Call of Duty SEO moment.
All right, Call of Duty SEO moment. Well, Big Phil Spencer's been on a bit of a tour. Phil Spencer, of course, being
Is that what you call him in person?
I'd call him Big Phil. Yeah,
you call him Big Phil.
I'd call him Big Phil. I reckon. I think he's a nice guy. If anyone doesn't know who I'm on about, I'm talking about the Xbox boss, Phil Spencer, who is, I don't know, seems like an all-around decent guy, to be honest. And you know what? He does a lot on YouTube and that. He'll join YouTubers and just chat to them. Like he does quite a bit. I'd like to have Phil Spencer on here one day, to be honest with you. But
you reckon we could do it? You reckon we can get him in?
I'd wear a leather jacket if he did do that, and I'd shave my face and I'd slip my hair back like him.
Make him feel cool. I
love that he wears his leather jacket, and I'd do the same. I'd buy one just for him. So anyway, Phil, that's my olive branch to you or whatever. So listen, anyway, Phil's been a sound guy. So what Microsoft are doing and Xbox are doing at the moment is buying lots of stuff. Yeah. So they bought Activision Blizzard, innit? Actually, that's such a controversial subject, and I don't mean like on Reddit. I mean like in the courts.
Yeah, like they have been going hard at each other to the point where they're like flying out Jim Ryan and stuff, right? Like they're all flying out there to go and actually give proper statements and counter statements and stuff. Like they are legally like in a UFC cage match right now, and
so,
they are
it's and so for anyone that's not really aware of the situation, to try and kind of distill it down to like one paragraph or so, essentially the acquisition is so big that it would give Microsoft such an advantage over competitors that there's kind of a monopoly clause that needs to be looked into by the courts. So what I'm on about, it's kind of like if McDonald's bought Burger King and KFC. like it's a bit of a monopoly at that point. You know, I mean, Subway can't light a candle to all three of them at once, can it? Shouts out Subway and that. But the point is, hashtag not sponsored, although that would be good.
Mate, if we got sponsored by Subway, I'd be all over it.
Wouldn't it be sick? Yeah.
What's your favorite sub?
I like, I'm a greedy man, so I like pretty much everything. I like steak and cheese. I like lettuce, red onion, olives, chipotle, mayo. Yeah. On Italian herbs and cheese bread.
Yeah, you got the bread right there. Italian herb and cheese is the bread. It is.
Right.
I'm a chicken teriyaki guy or a marinara guy. I'm down.
All right,
down
that's a good shout. Exactly.
Yeah.
Again, Subway, you should be paying us for this conversation.
Yeah,
to be honest. So the point is, anyway, look, there's been a bit of an investigation in the courts, and actually, it's so big that most of Europe has to agree to it. So you might see, if you follow the news, that in the financial sector, this kind of thing is actually happening at the moment. And so, yeah, it's a really, really contentious topic for like actual regulators, and there's competition authorities and like market.
You don't mean like the Warren G regulators?
Not Nate Dogg and Warren G. I'm on about some people who are probably called like Tarquin and Woodrow. You know, so they're currently scrutinizing.
That's a gangster name though. Like I could roll with Woodrow.
Woodrow sounds pretty sick.
Woodrow sounds pretty sick, to be fair. Sorry.
So look, this takeover is massive. It costs Microsoft, by the way, if anyone wants to know how much cheese. Yeah, $68 billion. Yeah,
they could have bought Twitter for that money.
That's more. That's a Twitter and a half. That
Twitter and a half.
So look,
that's a Twitter and a Tumblr.
That's and Vine. Anyway, look. The point is, it's so big because what the. If Call of Duty... no! I was so close.
You were.
Oh, no. Right. Gosh darn it. Gee willikers. I can't believe I've done that.
Son of a biscuit.
Oh, sheesh. So, yeah, it's like Fargo, this.
Right. Isn't it?
So look, the point is, it's such a huge effing deal that basically, everyone's wondering what will happen to Call of Duty on PlayStation. Long and short of it is, there's no need for them to keep it on the PlayStation. I guess they can do what they want. But Phil Spencer has said, it sounds a bit like a veiled threat. What I'm about to say. This is the sentence.
Okay.
Microsoft will keep Call of Duty on Sony platforms, and I quote, as long as there's a PlayStation out there to ship to. What the heck does that mean?
Yeah, that's a hell of a thing, isn't it? Like, on the one hand, if you look at their face value, it's, as long as PlayStation, we'll make sure to support you.
Yeah.
But why even say that?
As long as there's a PlayStation out there to ship to. Yeah.
It almost sounds like he's saying that while activating some, like, button hid behind his back, like, as long as there's a PlayStation to ship to, click.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be a shame if
shaking?
We wouldn't want an accident to happen to PlayStation, would we? So, and I guess one thing to mention is that he kind of used this thing where I think this is pretty fair for him to say, to be honest. Not that I'm siding with him or not, but he did make a good point of, they've actually expanded the places where people can play, for example, Minecraft. They haven't reduced the places, and it's been good for the Minecraft community. And in his opinion, that's still a quote from him. And he wants to do the same when he thinks of where Call of Duty can go over the years and stuff like that. So, that's that. I mean, look, there's a whole conversation we don't have time for. Whether like most things on Xbox now, they could do it where it kind of they starve out PlayStation users by actually charging £70 for the game, but it's free on Game Pass day one.
Yeah, I mean that would 100% be well, I don't want to say a monopoly, but that would be a massive undercutting. I mean, you already kind of seen this in a microcosm on the Bethesda side, right? Where like all of the now first party Bethesda's titles are launching day one. I mean, apart from Deathloop, but obviously that had already been signed and dealt with on the Sony side in advance. But yeah, I don't know. It's a very strange one. Personally, the idea, like I can't say enough how good Game Pass is for the consumer. It's fantastic. I always will go out my way to still buy games, even I kind of briefly mentioned Signalis before I went away to Germany last week, and when I came back I got told, oh, that's on Game Pass, and I was like, well, no, I'm still going to go buy that. Like I really wanted to play that game. I'm gonna put the money directly into devs. Game Pass does also give them all of the money based on what agreement they had. But yeah, like it's a bit of a different thing when you then look at the not to shade Signalis, because I've absolutely loved what I played of that, by the way.
Yeah, you said you were looking forward to it last week.
The reviews have been really cool for it. But there's a massive difference between something small, indie, and then kind of low on the radar, like Signalis getting added to Game Pass as like a value add for people who already have the service, and it being, here's a platform selling game that is going to be available day one on the service for free as part of a subscription. Like the magnitude of difference between those two is completely massive. And yeah, you know, unfortunately, that's kind of where the discussion lays in this is, does that give Microsoft so much of a kind of incentive? Because it does seem weird. I get why people are kind of laughing at this as a weird thing of Sony basically being like, hey, we think that they would make too much money if they bought this company, and we think that's mean because we're at the same time as they're buying like Bungie. You know what I mean? Like, why is that such a... But it's the inclusion of that Game Pass. It's the inclusion of a series like Call of Duty, which is basically monolithic. Like, it is probably one of the things that brought gaming into the mainstream acceptable form as it is.
I was talking about that just today. Yeah, I was talking about that just today. You know, games are considered a bit of a geeky thing, and then now Call of Duty is considered a bit of a in the UK a chavvy thing. A bit. Yeah, it's a bit. It's what, you know, a 31-year-old plumber will play. You know what I mean?
So, like, if someone turns around that doesn't play games and they find out you work in games, their touch point will be Call of Duty
or FIFA.
Like, that's it then. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, what you like.
No, exactly. And the game's actually quite simple.
But when it has such market penetration at that level,
nice.
You know, you can understand. You can understand why. You know, turning around and buying this and saying that you're just going to give it away for free, but the barrier to entry is much higher, potentially even delayed, potentially even a lesser service implementation of that game on other platforms. It becomes a much... Like it's a value add prospect beyond the actual monetary.
And to try and, like, you know, leave everybody here with a nice bit of information, I tried to do a bit of research, but unfortunately it's not made public. And so there was a recent example I could think of that had this, and it was Outriders. Outriders was full price on PlayStation, and it was free on Game Pass day one. So I thought, well, I wonder what the comparison between downloads or players were, and I can only find sales, unfortunately. And 83% of all sales for this game were on PlayStation. Only 17% were on Xbox. But obviously, that's because it was for free, you know? So, but I would love to see how many players on Xbox versus how many players on PlayStation, because that would be probably...
I could probably get that info for you. I know a guy too.
Yeah, wouldn't that be interesting? Because that would be very telling. Anyway, there is one benefit about Call of Duty I'd like to mention on PlayStation, and I wanted to bring this up because I thought it was a little bit, you know, relevant to your interests. Okay. Kind of. I don't know, it's not relevant to your interest that much, but you use a mouse and keyboard, so...
I do.
Modern Warfare 2, and I don't like this one blooming bit.
Oh, no.
Do you know what? I love crossplay. I think it's the best thing to happen in gaming in a very, very long time. For anyone that doesn't know what I'm talking about, of course, it's the fact that video games normally end up being kind of insular to their platform. So if you've got Call of Duty and your friends have an Xbox, unfortunately, you know... you can't play together. But now, like Star-Crossed lovers, your worlds have been opened, and you can play Fortnite. You can play Fortnite with your friends if you're on a PC and they're on a Switch.
You
or
can play Tiny Troopers Global Ops if you're on
exactly. Did you see? Remember my face lighting up when I found that out? Because it's such a lovely thing.
It's a cool thing.
And I especially love that about Tiny Troopers because. For the longest time, it was people. I used to be a full-time YouTuber covering the news cycle when I remember everyone was trying to say it was impossible to do this, and Fortnite was saying actually they were in legal trouble. No one could do it, and now Rocket League was the first game to do it, by the way. Yeah. So there was lots of games that were saying we can't do it, and now to see like Tiny Troopers and stuff, like, even to see indie pubs be able to pull it off now, rather than like, oh, we needed like the blessing of Ariana Grande or whatever to do it, or whatever they were on about. Anyway, So, however, and shout out to Ariana Grande if you're listening.
Yo, what up, Ariana?
Big fan. So, Modern Warfare 2 is crossplay by default, the same as lots of the other big games, Overwatch 2 we mentioned. However, you can't disable the crossplay between the Xbox and the PC versions if you're on Xbox, which is a huge disadvantage for anyone playing on the console, because for those that are completely uninitiated, of course, mouse and keyboard offers you incredible reactionary advantages. You can bind keys to buttons. Just generally, you're a bit of a sweatier guy. You're hunched over the
I mean, it is pretty
desk.
warm in here.
You know, exactly. So imagine, Gary, focused, drinking like a chamomile tea or something like that, just to take the edge off, leaning over, and then you're just sat there, you've just finished your shift in Asda, and you sat on the sofa, and you're getting absolutely battered on it, and you can't even do
drink your milkshake. I'm going to come and drink your milkshake. I don't care. I'm going to ruin your game. I'm going to drink your milkshake.
I can't believe we've actually got a There Will Be Blood reference on this podcast. This is the best day ever. I have Modern Warfare. I got it on day one or whatever, and I was getting absolutely
getting ruined.
I was getting trounced by people, and then I remember literally, reading a tweet from like a 17-year-old that was like, my favorite thing ever is beating 30-year-olds on Call of Duty after they finish their day job, haha, losers or something.
Oh,
and I remember reading that after I'd been getting battered. So I thought, what can I do about it? I know, that's such a funny tweet, isn't it? That's so BM. That's so bad-mannered.
I hate it, but it's so correct.
It's so true, yeah. But anyway, so I just went into the options. I had to dig quite deep into the options, and I turned off crossplay. So now I'm only playing with my fellow PlayStation, I think 4 and 5. It's not cross-generation, so I'm still playing with the PS4 and the 5 heads, and we're having a whale of a time. We've unionized, basically. So it's great. But Xbox and PlayStation, Xbox and PC, they have to live in harmony, and it's a very unfortunate thing, that, isn't it? I just want to mention that.
I wonder if it's got something. God, that's so weird. Why is that I'm not a tech guy. I mean, I am, but I can't really think of a direct reason for that. But yeah, that's strange. I mean, there's 6 2/3. You do mention the mad kind of sweaty nature of keyboard and mouse, which is true. You do have a lot more, quicker turning circles. A lot easier verticality and whatnot. I will say that because I kind of threw a little reference out to Bungie earlier. When I'm not knee deep in Valorant, I do still spend a good amount of time with Destiny 2. It is still my catnip. And in the PvP there especially, it's a constant battle because they too added crossplay this year. So, PC and Xbox and PlayStation can all kind of play together. You do get full control to turn that on and off, and then unlimited for that reason. But there is a large amount of, there is a noticeable aim assist with certain weapons in that game when you come up against a controller user and you're like, randomly jumped and just nailed a goddamn headshot while sliding with a sniper rifle, which,
you're quite right.
Based on the flinch, would be really hard to do on a mouse and keyboard. But obviously, because of AA, because for those that don't know, on controllers there is a generous amount of auto aim basically at all times because there has to be. There just has to be. If you ever want to, and I don't know if it's still the same, but if you ever want to feel what a game is like without auto aim, go check out PUBG on the Xbox. Because let me tell you, I don't know if it's changed now, but I remember when that first came out, I downloaded it because my friends they'd heard all about PUBG. They didn't have PCs. They picked it up on Xbox. And I remember playing it with them and being like, wow, there's no aim assist on this. This is just straight up neutral dead zone stick. Oh my, and it was, I thought I knew how to play games. And let me tell you, trying to play that game on Xbox was a different beast. I don't fear the people that I see in esports montages. I fear the people that win PUBG games on Xbox because they have completely different senses to everybody else.
It's you're dead right. It's one of those things where you don't even notice aim assist, but when you're actually like without it, it makes a hell of a difference.
It makes a massive difference. And then when you put those two in the same environment, right, you've got the aim assist of the controller, but they don't have as good FOV or turning circles. And then you've got the PC, which doesn't have as heavy aim assist, or if any at all, but has that kind of raw input and the sensitivity where you can just crank it, turn around, direct arm control. It's a very interesting sandbox that I do not envy the developers trying to develop maps and weapons and mechanics with that in mind. Usually keeping them both separate allows you to kind of co-develop in a way that works. So when you bring them all into the same ball pit, all of a sudden there's always going to be
there's a weird disparity either way. You're dead right, because both of them can be overpowered.
And the elephant in the room, I mean, the cheats are a lot easier on PC. Breaking that engine is a lot easier on PC.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And Call of Duty, obviously, they spend a lot of time trying to combat that. So I haven't seen any cheaters yet, but you're dead right. And
maybe you have, and they're just so good you didn't know.
Well, exactly.
Maybe that 15-year-old kid that battered you and then went on Twitter was using a wall hack.
That's what I say. Yeah. That's what all my friends tell me.
Did you report him? That's what you should have done.
No, I didn't. I just left and tried to enjoy my real life. Yeah. So yeah. No,
I'm gonna go do the dishes and look at my email.
Yeah, exactly. At least I'm good at that. But yeah, that's all the news I've got for you this week. Actually, I think we've done our service as dutiful as we could.
Do you want one more piece of Call of Duty? One more piece.
You go on.
And this one is a little bit weirder, and this one is a little bit negative Call of Duty. So if you can think of anything nice to pull out to wrap up, then do so now. Have a little think.
Right.
But it came out today that on Steam, family sharing has been disabled for Modern Warfare 2, but retroactively after it has launched. So family share, is a weird feature. If you have an account, you can green light other accounts to use your games while you're not using them. It is very, very strict. It's not like, Jake could be playing Modern Warfare, and then I'll play his Modern Warfare on my account, and he'll go off and play Binding of Isaac. Like no, if I'm playing a game on his account, he can't use it wholesale. It is very, but the idea is, maybe you're a parent, maybe you don't want to be buying triple dipping for multiple games. Your kids are going to play them, but you are into one particular game. You know what? Let's keep it all on one account, and I'll just use it when they go to bed and whatever. It makes life a little bit easier, nice quality of life for people. And this was a feature that you opt into or opt out of from a development side. When you put it on Steam, you can have it enabled or disabled. And from launch up until today, it was enabled and sold as a family share feature on Steam, until Activision went, actually, wait a minute, and turned it off, which has led to, as you can imagine, very, very reasonable discussion on the internet from people.
That kind of sucks, I think.
I mean, it was probably an oversight. Let's be honest. I don't think that they would have. There's the one side, which is they were probably sat there twirling mustaches, going, we'll let people buy it, thinking they can share it with their families, and then disable it once they've already paid.
You're dead right, aren't you?
But the chances are they probably just didn't even really, because it's not a massively used feature outside of like core users for it. So they probably were like, oh wait, we left this thing on, we better damn it, I swore. But we need to disable that, and then they disabled it and took it on the chin. I mean, whether it was nefarious or not, it sucks for those that use it.
I think, I like you're saying, it's probably an oversight, or it's not like some sort of conspiracy theories. They've got enough money. They just got bought for 64 billion, remember? I guess, the only thing that I saw in the news that made me happy about things is, and I guess this is it, I'm going to end up, it sounds like a plug really, but again, not really anything other than a nice bit of news, and just something maybe we can talk about in a little bit more detail another time. But I've been really interested in how video game mechanics and lore and an IP has been really, really interesting over the years, to the point where it can translate almost seamlessly into other forms of media. And what I found a nice resurgence in recently is not like the cyberpunk anime. I'm not going down that route. Well, that did do very well, and League of Legends had that show too. But
Arcane, man, that stuff was dope.
Exactly,
Arcane was great.
But there's flipping a load of board games being made, isn't there, nowadays, based on hit video games, and a lot of them use cards and stuff like that. So I was just happy to see that, and I think there's like loads of time left on it or whatever, and it's absolutely destroyed its goal on Kickstarter. I think it needed 43,000 and it's 1.5 million. And that is a Slay the Spire board game, which is a co-op deck building adventure.
completely missed that. Is it a what when you say co-op, is it like 2-player? Like is it small co-op is what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think it's 2 to 4.
Can you actually find me a link to this? Because me and my partner both play like we own Slay the Spire on PC, we own it on our phones. I've bought it for a Switch. We play a lot of Slay the Spire internally. So if there is a 2-player board game, then I am 100% going into that. Thank you.
Well, I'd love to talk about this in another time in general about board games and things like that, because I think it's been a really interesting thing. I think it's a good topic, and I think if there's anybody, I think it might be a good way to end, just based on the fact that if anyone listening to this or watching has got a board game, 15 days.
Okay,
but yeah, if anyone listening has got a board game that they've been playing recently, just let us know, because it's a really interesting conversation and it's quite interesting. Everything is very cyclical, isn't it? And at the moment, a lot of people, especially kind of during a pandemic when people were in their homes, it's been a huge. In fact, did you know that board games outsell video game projects on Kickstarter? $15 to 1. So every $1 put into a video game, $15 is spent on board game.
And I've got a hard feel for that, and I'd be interested to see what the breakdown was. I'd almost pay someone to do some research into this, because it's fascinating from a publisher side of things when you're looking at what people value and invest in. As to whether that's purely because people are back on Kickstarter or way more into physical and collecting kind of things, right? Is there a breakdown that within gaming itself, Kickstarters, those that are digital only Kickstarters perform worse than those that actually come with the foresight to include physical things within their bits, right? Because that's one angle I can see why that would be a thing. Is a board game is a tangible thing. You've got the direct board game community, you got the physical. I want to hold something in my hands when I've holded it. Versus games which tend to be a little bit more ethereal in that nature.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing, and you're right about things like collector's editions and stuff like that. It is interesting. So yeah, I thought that'd be a nice one. Have you? Sorry to interrupt. Have you played the Downfall mod on Steam? No.
Go look it up. It's really interesting. So it's it's the end of Wide Unplugged. We're going to talk about Slay the Spire for 5. But there's a mod you get for free on the workshop, and it basically allows you. It adds a couple of new characters, which is interesting with different mechanics. It adds a load of new cards, a load of new encounters, but it also allows you to do a boss version of the game where you actually play as the bosses and go from the spire all the way down.
Yeah, that's really, really wicked. Downfall, I guess.
And it's really interesting. I actually had been not burnt out on Slay, because you never do, but I've been kind of fiending for a reason to get back into it, and kind of saw that mod and was like, oh well, here's a fresh lick of paint on this.
Oh, that's a really cool thing.
So
I actually
go have a look at that.
Yeah,
you'll probably get some hours in it.
Slay the Spire for me, by the way, was a Game Pass find. By the way, so again, testament to really the power of Game Pass once again. So ultimately, the video game and tabletop edition of video games has been an interesting look for me. Dark Souls, I love Bloodborne. I've got the Bloodborne card game and things like that. I actually bought the Binding of Isaac tabletop thing. I've pledged for it 2.5 years ago. It's still not here yet, but and it really is. Funny enough, just now I've just gone on my Gmail to see if I'd missed anything or I'd put the wrong address or something. But no, it's just simply not here. And I'm really, really interested to see if anyone listening or watching has got a video game, board game that they play, they'd recommend, because it's nearly always really intricately designed and stuff like that.
You know what I want to organise, actually? This would be a cool thing. Does Aaron play Slay? Is Aaron a Slay guy, or?
I don't know.
Well, we need to find a couple of other Slay people, because there's a game called Across the Obelisk. I don't know if you've heard of this one.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
That I would like a session of that, because that's it's like Slay the Spire, but it's more kind of Dungeons and Dragons-ish, but the entire thing is co-op where everyone picks a character and you all have your own decks and you play your turns within the order within turn, right? So everyone's got or you can have multiple. That would be cool. I would like.
That's what
I've been playing a little bit of it. It's pretty fun.
That's what the Slay the Spire board gamey thing kind of looks like, because it's co-op, But guys, thank you everybody for listening. to the Wired Unplugged podcast, episode 36.
We didn't even say it. Oh, yeah, episode 36.
It is 36, yeah. And 36. It was we only swore 3 times.
We
only made duck noises 3 times, everybody. Will Aaron come back sort of next week? We are using the elephant deflattener. And we'll let you know all about that.
Him up,
yeah, it's a slow process, like a really tall airbed.
He is really flat right now. I can't even tell you. He's super flat.
It's a lot of work, man. So, yeah, thank you very much, Gary. We'll see you soon, everybody. Give yourself a round of applause. Go make yourself a hot drink and stay safe. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Wired Unplugged.